Today's video is sponsored by Readly. Alright guys, how's it going? Welcome back. Well, today I'm back in my 1994 Mercedes SL. If you remember, I bought this car a few months ago for just £3,500, which I thought sounded quite cheap. It wasn't the nicest or the best example, in fact it needed quite a bit of TLC, but I remember at the time saying, you know what, that's what I like most about it. I like the fact that I can use it, put some miles on it, and not be too precious about it. It isn't some pristine museum piece, some garage queen like my SL55. I remember saying it was a truly usable modern classic. I remember saying I won't spend silly amounts of money on it, I'll just use it and not care too much about it. Well, I can't really do that, I'm afraid. Just isn't my style. It's not in my DNA. This probably won't come as a huge surprise to you, but what I did instead was proceed to spend thousands of pounds on it to make it look and go as good as physically possible. I can't really explain why, but I really love this old thing. It's just a bit of class. What I like about it is that it's old enough to feel as though you're driving a genuine classic, and yet modern enough to never be a pain to use on a daily basis. In fact, I've been using this as my daily car. Every single morning I walk past my AMG GT on my driveway and get in this 12-owner Mercedes SL that's had a load of paint. Doesn't make any sense, does it? I just seem to have a connection with it straight away. It's weird, isn't it? I mean, it isn't particularly quick, it doesn't handle particularly well, it doesn't ride particularly well, and yet it's still my go-to car. I suppose that when you're looking for a car for yourself, as long as you like it, that's all that really matters. You don't need to explain your choice to anybody. You don't need to have a car that will beat anything hands down at top trumps. As long as you like it, that's all that really matters. This next statement's a bit of a cliche when talking about cars, and I hate to use it, but it's really characterful. It clunks and rattles when it's cold, the gearbox doesn't know what day it is, you've got to have the patience of a Buddhist monk when operating the remote central lock-in, but I love it. I suppose by now you're probably wondering what I've spent and what I've had done. Well, it's probably best if I park up somewhere and give you a guided tour. Get your calculators at the ready, boys and girls, because this is a big one. I recently read an article about the brand new Mercedes SL in the latest Top Gear magazine. I always get my latest fix of car knowledge using the Readly app. Now, I've mentioned Readly before, but it's basically an app which enables you to read thousands of magazines and publications. So all you do is download the app, and then you've got literally hundreds of publications. Now for me, I always tend to read, there you go, Top Gear, anything car related. Now, the article in question was here. They were putting the new 911 GTS up against the Bentley Continental GT Speed up against the Mercedes SL, because they were basically trying to figure out what the new Mercedes SL was all about. You see, Mercedes SLs have always been a bit of a... Oh, look at that. See what I mean? I could get lost for hours reading this sort of stuff. The good thing about Readly is you can just read this like a magazine and swipe through the pages, or if you click article view, it's a little bit easier on the eyes. Now, I happen to think the new Mercedes SL is one of the most beautiful cars ever made, but I think it's kind of lost its way, and that's what the journalist was saying. It almost doesn't know what it is anymore. I think what it is basically is a convertible AMG GT, and that's not really an SL. An SL should be a boulevard cruiser, not a stripped out hardcore racer. Now, because I'm always busy, I don't necessarily have the time to sit down with a traditional magazine and read it, but with Readly, all this is on my phone. So whenever I've got 5 or 10 minutes free, I can just pull out my phone and swat up on the latest stuff. The other good thing with Readly, as you can see here, is that you can go back in time and read magazines from ages ago. You can get magazines, newspapers, even from different countries in the world as well, and all for a reasonable price. I know this is a bit of a cliche, but this only costs like the equivalent of a couple of cups of coffee. And that gives you instant access to thousands of publications. Something else that I always try and catch up on is the National Geographic magazine. My grandmother used to subscribe to this for me when I was a kid, so every month I'd get the latest edition. If you're into horsey things, for example, let's have a look here. Let's see. Horse. Horse and hound. There we go. There is something for everybody. If you want to try this out for yourself, and I'd highly recommend it, click my link below in the video description and you get 2 months totally free, and you can cancel at any time. So thank you once again to Readly for sponsoring today's video. Right, let me show you around this SL. We may as well start outside then, hadn't we? Let's start at the front end. If you remember, it had a hideous aftermarket grille on that was offensive to anyone with eyes in their head. So that had to go. That was the first thing I did. I ordered this new. It's not genuine, unfortunately. They're really quite difficult to get hold of. I'm told from R129 SL, let's call them nerds, that this should have 7 slats. My era of SL from '94 should have 7 slats. Mine doesn't, unfortunately. It's only got 6. But I think, I mean, as I said previously, it's a 12-owner car that's had a load of paint, so I'm never going to enter it into some sort of concourse event anyway, because it would never win. But I think that is a really easy transformation. In addition to that, it had clear indicator lenses here, which didn't look right. Because we've got amber lights here and amber lights at the back, they should have kind of all matched, and they didn't. So I found these. They almost look like US style, but I think they're not. I think they're not period correct. I think they were off a 95 SL, not a 94, but like I say, I'm really splitting hairs. I think that has transformed it. They cost me, I think, £66 for the pair. So that's that, the grille. The reg, by the way, I didn't like the old M reg that was on it. It was too messy. And as I've probably mentioned in previous videos, I do like private plates. So I went onto Reg Transfers and found that High Peak Autos plate for, I think it was 180 quid plus fees. So I think out the door it cost me about 280. Then I found a company, well, I didn't find a company, I've used them plenty of times before, called Retro Plates. And they specialise in making these period correct plates. Now, I'm going to sound like such a nerd here. From 2001 onwards, I think it was, they changed the font on UK reg plates. So this is the pre-2001 font. So again, it's kind of period correct. And it just looks really clean now. What else have we done to the exterior? Oh, the wheels. As always, I went to Prestige Wheels over in Bradbury, where they dipped the old ones and then powder coated them. And they look really bright. They weren't too bad, but there was a little bit of scabbiness around here. So now they look as good as new. Just had that done a few days ago, actually. I still need to sort the bodywork out here. I think someone's painted it with the heart up in position, because you can see there's just a load of overspray everywhere. What I need to do is get some thinners on this and see if I can take it off. Then I need to get the car detailed, really. Get it all buffed and polished and try and make it look a little bit better. But the more I look at it, the more I can see that every panel's been painted. You can see a little bit of orange peel there. The boot lid here, for example, sits a little bit proud. There are little fish eyes here. It's not a great job, really. Still, like I say, I like it. So I think exterior-wise, that's all I've had done. Still, that did cost me quite a bit. I think the wheels were 250, the grille was 220, lights were 66, plate. I don't want to think about these costs. Right, moving inside, if you remember, the driver's seat was quite badly worn. On the bolsters here was quite badly worn, and down here there was a rip on that bolster. So I got my upholstery guy to come out. He took the seat away and then replaced all 4 bolsters. So he's got a colour match which is nearly perfect, really. Obviously this is the original sort of perforated bit in the middle, which wasn't in bad condition, so I've kept that. But again, now it's just a much nicer car to open the door of, really. So I had him do that, and he's also retrimmed this because that was broken. He told me that I needed a new piece here. So this isn't a reflection of his workmanship at all, but I just asked him to patch it up as best he could. But I need a new panel here, really, and I don't know where to get one from. But he's done a really good job with the seat. The next thing I did, you'll think I'm odd for doing this, but I paid £495 for that steering wheel, which does mark me as a bit of a madman, doesn't it? 495 quid. But it was from a company that I found on eBay, and they're based in Turkey. And I really wanted a wooden steering wheel. I just think they're a bit of class. They're just really nice to use. And the old steering wheel was all worn. So I asked my mechanic to take off the old one and fit the new one. This little piece of trim here, this little button, that was broken. So every time you pulled it, because you pull it like that to adjust this little armrest, it would just come off in your hand. In fact, I think somewhere I've got the old clip. Where is it? Keys there for a Fox. My old L32. There we go. Right. That should have a little sort of clasp on it there, and it snapped off. So I found a new one on the internet, on eBay, I think it was, for £40, and then took this apart and fitted the new switch. Made that sound like I did it there, didn't I? My dad did it for me, actually. Speaking of my dad, he repaired the speakers as well, because I was only getting sound from this driver's side. So he took it all apart, took out that fascia and everything, and there was an issue with the wiring. So he's replaced that, fixed it, and now I've got sound from all 4 speakers. And I think then Bear in mind this hasn't had a thorough clean yet. It is on my to-do list. I think that's it. I found as well, I didn't realise, but you've got some storage here as well. There's pockets. That's the bag that my little button for the sensor thing came in. What's in here? It's like marbles. Oh no. A couple of screws. I've got a couple of screws loose. I think you knew that already, didn't you? Moving back here then, apart from my camera bag, they're the old lenses. I need to stick these on eBay really. And this is all the old leather. So it was all quite badly worn and look, ripped and all sort of horrible looking. Ah, my MacBook charger. I wondered where that had gone. I got some boot struts for this boot lid, but I took the car to SPR for a service and load of mechanical works and asked them to fit those boot struts for me, but they were the wrong parts, so in the end I've had to buy some other ones. I should have sent those back, but I'll be over the time now. Right, let me get back in the car then where it's less windy. I'll talk you through all my costs and exactly what I had done mechanically. I'm building up quite a bit of history for this car because it only had part service history, not full. But now, thanks to my American Express card, we're getting quite the file. That's my little mirror hanger there from Prestige Wheels. So the wheels cost me £240. They're only small wheels, so they weren't too expensive. The upholstery trimmer, he charged me £340 to do this seat, which I thought for 4 new panels and repairing that side panel wasn't too bad. I've just noticed, according to this, he's had to replace some of the foam as well in the seat where it had just worn. So he is very thorough and very good. Now, as always with Mercedes, I took this down to SPR, who are a Mercedes specialist over in Stockport, and they really know their stuff. So I asked them basically to give it a service and just give it a general check over. I asked them to service the gearbox because I didn't know whether it had ever been done. It's only an old 4-speed box. So my bill there was quite large, but they have done everything. And they told me that it wasn't a bad example. It wasn't too rusty underneath. It was all in decent shape, really, which was nice to hear. So they've done an A service. That was £170. That's basically oil and filter, and I think that's about it, actually. A 4-speed gearbox service. That was £170, which I thought was quite reasonable. A brake fluid change. That was £60. Again, I didn't know when it was last done. Now, it had a couple of fluid leaks, and it turns out one of the gearbox pipes was leaking. So remove and replace ATF pipes as required. That's £85. They fitted the indicated lenses for me, and they fitted the grille as well. If you remember, the air conditioning wasn't working, so they've regassed that, and it had a leak. So they've removed and replaced the AC pressure switch. That was a quarter of an hour's labour. They fitted new boot struts, a new fuel hose because that was leaking. They've cleaned out the washer fluid tank. There was an exhaust bracket which had snapped, so they've fabricated and welded an exhaust bracket on the rear box, replaced the power-assisted steering filter and fluid, and also I asked them to lubricate the roof because I know this is a really complicated roof on these, and I didn't know when it was last greased up, so I thought, well, best ask the experts to sort that out for me. So the parts, it's had oil filter, oil, gearbox filter, gearbox gasket, gearbox oil, ATF radiator line, pipes, line, PAS pump filter, AC pressure sensor, sealing ring, ATF hose. One of those pipes, by the way, was like 300 quid from Germany. The good thing with SPR is they only use genuine parts. They won't fit aftermarket tat on your car. So a clamp, fuel hose, boot lid strut, and some brake fluid. My total bill there, which this might sound horrendous to you, but I was really quite pleased with it because they've gone over the car thoroughly, and I know now that I can drive it with confidence. And I've probably done about 500 miles in it. My bill there was £1,708. I've got a bit of a running total for you here. The car cost me £3,500. The wheels cost me £240. The plate cost me £280, which I shouldn't really include that because I own the plate now, and if I ever sell the car, I've still got the plate. I will include it though. The upholstery cost me £340. My bill at SPR cost me £1,708 and 79 pence. My steering wheel, which I love, look at that. Brand new leather, brand new wood. It has really transformed this car, that cost me £495. The grille cost me £224. That was from Singapore or Taiwan or somewhere. It was from eBay. The armrest part, that cost me £40 and 89 pence. The indicators were £69.58. The struts, which are useless, which are still in the boot, they cost me £23.99. And the retro plates cost me £50. So I paid £3,500 for the car, and my total is about £3,500. My total is £6,972.25. In fairness now, I'm not just saying this to make myself feel better. I think this is worth that. I think this is a £7,000 car now. Yes, the paintwork's not perfect, but I still believe if I were to sell this, which I'm not, I'm going to keep this now because I love it. If I were to sell this, I think I'd get £7,000 for it. Maybe 7,995 even, because anyone buying it now could buy it with confidence. They're a bit like Range Rovers SLs. You need money in the bank. Don't go and buy one if that's every penny that you've got. You need to hold a couple of grand back for, well, for all that sort of stuff. Now I've had that work done, yes, it's a 28-year-old car, so other things might break. But so far, touch wood, everything's working. I've got ice-old aircon. It pulls well, it doesn't leak oil. It's all really nice. I've noticed today my little switch on my gearbox here is missing. So I don't know whether that's been popped off by the valeters and then sucked up the vacuum cleaner or what. Ah, it's an additional spend as well. You'll think I'm sad for this. I bought an unused cigarette lighter from eBay for £12. The old one had been used. Right, well, I think that's about it. So thank you once again for watching. Thank you to Readly for sponsoring today's video. Check them out, I'll leave the link below. And yeah, cheers guys. See you next time.